Welcome to Drop Dice Gaming. It's 9th edition 40k, Thousand Suns versus Orks. Whoops, that don't count. This is the planet Chancyll IV. It lies in the Chancyll system on the edge of the Prosperian Rift. The Prosperian Rift is a group of systems that lies close to the borders of the Segmentum Solar. Ever since Magnus brought the planet of the Sorceress into the Forzar system to join his homeworld of Prospero, the Crimson King has been forming an empire within Imperial space, using these worlds as a bastion from which to influence and control neighbouring systems and subsectors. Magnus the Red has been calling out to all psychers in the galaxy to join him in his new empire that he is building around Prospero and the planet of the Sorcerers. This ever-expanding empire has attracted, however, attention from other quarters. A Ork war is heading towards the borders of his empire, and they will clash on this planet. Up in high orbit, the Thousand Suns fleet and the Ork hulks and rocks have engaged each other. The Thousand Suns have been inflicting grievous casualties on the Ork invaders, but some rocks have managed to get to the surface of the planet. It is imperative that these Orks are stopped before their numbers can multiply, and therefore Legion Command has sent out a number of patrols in order to intercept the Orks and destroy them before they can take hold on this planet. This valley is where the two forces will meet as the Thousand Suns patrol stumbles across some speeding Ork vehicles. The game will be from the Eternal War Combat Patrol main rulebook of 9th edition 40k, Outriders. There are 4 objectives, and they're marked out as hatches in the ground. The reason being is that this planet used to be controlled by the Mechanicum hundreds of years ago, and there are occasional signs of that still. The Orks want to get into the hatches and start looting any technology or materials that may still be under the planet's surface. Each side will earn objective points, preliminary objectives, for holding these objective markers. If you control 1 or more objectives, you get 5 points. If you control 2 or more objectives, you get 5 points. And if you control more objectives than the opponent controls, you again score 5 objectives. Deployment will be in the quarters, so the Thousand Suns will deploy here, the Orks will deploy here. Both armies have selected their secondary objectives unique to this game, which is Survey. So players will score 5 victory points if you control both of the objective markers, not in either player's deployment zone. So this one and this one over here. Basically, the Orks want to get to the hatches. The Thousand Suns want to stop them because they haven't long themselves conquered this world, and they would like to get any arcane technology that lies under the surface for themselves. For the rest of the secondaries, the Orks have chosen Abhor the Witch. They don't have any psychic defences, so it makes sense when you're fighting against Thousand Suns. That gives you victory points whenever a psychic character is destroyed, or a psychic unit in fact is destroyed. They've also chosen Assassinate. There are 3 Thousand Suns characters in the army, and so that's including Survey is their secondary objectives. The Thousand Suns have chosen Thin their ranks. In addition to Survey, they really want to whittle down these Orks and destroy them, and they've also chosen Slay the Warlord. It makes sense. Cut the head off the snake, make the Orks scatter and become leaderless. Okay, let's have a look at those armies. Okay, so here is the Thousand Suns army. It is 892 points. It's a patrol detachment, and because it's Battleforged Thousand Suns, they have Brotherhood of Sorcerers, which means that all psychic spells have 6 inches added to their range. The Warlord is Photek Amonkhet. Oh, there he is. And he has got a Warlord trait, Undying Form, which basically means he's temporarily cast a spell on himself and made his mortal form turn into glittering cosmic dust. It's a bit like a temporary rubric, but in game terms it means that all multiple damage is reduced to 1 against him, so it's harder to kill him. That's keeping in with his slightly cowardly nature. He intends to survive this battle. He's rather hoping that the sorcerer to his left will perish, so he will advance up the command structure. He's also taken a Sorcerous Arcana with him, a relic effectively, called the Coruscator, and it's a sort of souped up warp bolt pistol. It's got range 12, pistol 3, strength 4, -2, D3 damage. For his psychic powers, he of course has Smite, and because he is a member of the Cult of Knowledge, he also has Psychic Delve. I'll explain what they do as and when they happen. He's also taken with him Weaver of Fates and Temporal Manipulation. They can increase invulnerable saves and heal wounds. So he wants to get back to Legion headquarters and move up the ranks. He's certainly not intending to perish on this battlefield today. Other HQ is Hedrado Khan. Sorry, Ran. Got his name wrong. Hedrado Ran. Now, these two are rivals. Well, technically, he is a warlord, but they certainly would not be taking orders from each other. So this sorcerer is not going to be outdone. He's also taking a relic with him called Incladion's Cry, which is a specific one to the Cult of Knowledge, which is effectively a souped up warp bolt pistol. Strength 6, -2, 1 damage. That's going to cost a command point for Relics of the Thousand Suns, and also you're going to spend a command point on focus Magister, which basically gives him a warlord trait, even though he's technically not the warlord, and that will be Ardent Scholar, which again is a Cult of Knowledge specific warlord trait, which allows him to reroll 1s of any psychic tests. That's particularly useful, means he's unlikely to perils, or much less likely to peril. So in the troop slot, we have a squad of rubrics, squad of 20 Zangors, focus, that's it, squad of 20 Zangors. We've got an elite choice, the Zangor Shaman. He's got, not quite sure. She's got spell. Hold on. Yes, I didn't forget at all. Firestorm and Zeechers isn't quite a good offensive spell, although I really want him to have Prescience, but because that's a dark Hereticus discipline, it's not a spell available to him immediately, but there'll be stratagems which allow him to get the spell I want. I forgot to mention Hedrada Ran's spells. He's got Boon of Mutation and Infernal Gaze. Again, I'll explain what they do as and when they happen. Fast attack, we've got 2 Chaos Spawn and then 6 Zangor Enlightened in the back there. Now this is a patrol that's been sent out to try and interdict any orcs that have managed to get past the blockade, past the Thousand Suns silver towers and other orbiting ships, and any rocks that have managed to land on the planet. Legion Command have sent out units to try and deal with them before they can get entrenched on the surface. Now, in terms of what Thousand Suns units would do, carry out that role, well, rubrics are quite ploddy. They've got movement 5. They're only really animated by the sorcerer, so I didn't think they would make particularly good units to try and scout out enemy formations for that reason. So I think the Thousand Suns would very much rely on their Zangor allies to carry out that role, and cultists and the like. So and in particular these guys flying high in the atmosphere to be able to look at the orc plumes and fumes of the vehicles below in order to just swoop down and inform the sorcerers as to where the orcs are. Also, the spawn would be able to sort of scout ahead and sniff out the enemy and move quickly. The reason why the rubrics have got a rhino, because they're so slow, they would be sort of following in the rhino, and so that's why that's been bought. So that's the Thousand Suns army. Let's go and have a look at the orcs. Okay, and this is the orc army. It's 888 points, and it's basically represents all the orcs I've got painted at the moment, hence the slightly odd point value game we're playing here. I'm going to be running the Snakebite clan, principally because it's nice and easy to remember. It just gives everyone a 6-up feel no pain. It's not the best clan trait in the game, but as I said, it probably helped me deal with these 2 armies at once, and I'm not very experienced at playing with orcs anyway, so it just makes it nice and easy for me. The warlord is this war boss here. His name is Skarzot Face Crumper, and he's got the brutal but cunning warlord trait, which means he increases his damage by 1 in melee weapons if he finishes a charge or performs a heroic intervention that turn, and he can re-roll fail hits in the fight phase. He's also got the Killer Claw as his shiny gubbins, which basically is a flat 3 power claw that's not unwieldy. So he'll be re-rolling hits, re-rolling wounds, ×2 strength, so strength 12, -3 save, and if he charged or heroically intervened that turn, flat 4 damage. So he is a beast. I don't think there's very much in the Thousand Suns army that would survive a charge from him. Speaking of which, here is the other HQ unit, which is a Deathkiller Wartrike, of course. Zogger Badfang. He's got no extra rules or anything like that, but he is extraordinarily fast. He has an ability to allow orc vehicles within 6 inches of him to advance and charge, and in fact the warlord has the war boss does the same with infantry. Yeah, and his ability to probably tear down any character in the Thousand Suns army quite easy. And then it's simply behind them is a mob of 30 Slugger Chopper boys with a knob with a power claw. Then we've got 3 mega knobs in mega knob armor. Focus. Now, some of the more astute amongst you may realise that that is an illegal weapon loadout. You cannot take combi rocket launchers and power saws. I didn't know that until I stuck them together. So for this game's purposes and all my game's purposes, those claws will count as power claws. They will be riding in the truck behind them. That has a wrecking ball. And then finally we've got the bone breaker, which will have a claw and has the big gun on it. Its name I've forgotten. Hold on a sec. Yes, the kill cannon, which is a pretty good, if relatively short-ranged battle cannon, basically. So yeah, all the Orks, of course, have here we go, and the knobs have breaking heads. So try and keep morale. But yeah, they're going to get up close and personal with the Thousand Suns, and we'll see how things go. Okay, here we are at the end of deployment. Both armies have been set up. It was only really after setting up the armies that I realised that actually the Orks are possibly outnumbered, which is quite a rare thing for them. So yes, dealing with the Thousand Suns first. Started deploying the Zangors in the middle. They've swept down from higher up in the atmosphere after spotting this warband approaching them. They've warned the two sorcerers, and this is where they have decided to meet them in battle. I should talk about scenery actually. I'm going to treat all of these craters as difficult ground, so if you're within the pebbly area then you'll get +1 to your armor save but -2 to your movement, charge and advance rolls. So you could say that the Thousand Suns could possibly have chosen quite well, because there's certainly a number of craters between them and the Orks which will slow them down, which will be quite important, I think. So the Thousand Suns player originally thought to put his rubrics in the Rhino and use that Rhino to zoom up to take one of the objectives on the left and right flanks. But by the time he came to deploy that, he'd noticed that there was a big clanking, rumbling monstrosity over here, and he didn't really fancy his rubrics charges against that. So they have, in effect, got out of their Rhino and scrambled to form a gun line here. Ahead of them, some spawn, and the Rhino itself will act as a bit of a screen and a buffer, because I think if the Thousand Sun player is going to win this game, his squad of rubrics with their rapid fire, warp bolters and bolter discipline, etc., going to have to perform in whittling down that big squad of boys. Zangors have been scrabbling over this ravine, clearly eyeing out that objective there. The Zangor shaman is there, and the warlord is here, supporting the Zangors. The shaman gives a +1 to hit bubble, 6-inch bubble to all Zangor units in combat and close assault. So that's the Thousand Suns line. Question is, can they take these two objectives? I suspect doing anything about the Orks holding that one, for the time being at least, is going to be a rather forlorn hope, but we'll see. So the Orks are deployed. Already mentioned the bone breaker. That's going to be swinging around to try and capture that objective. Again, rather like the Rhino question, the original idea was to put the mega knobs in the truck, But one of the questions that the Orc player had to ask himself is, what units, if any, is he going to hold back to take the home objective? And realistically, there was no decent unit to do that. Everything really wants to get up and punchy in the Thousand Suns line. So an empty truck is going to do that. The Orc boys, of course, swarming in the middle. In there somewhere is the Warlord. And just over here is the Deathkiller Wartrike. Possibly could have been next to the Bonebreaker to allow it to advance and charge. But he seems to be about the only Orc unit who's probably fast enough to get over onto that objective. It's whether he can survive a huge mob of, or unit of Zangors. He's pretty good at killing characters. He's not quite so good at clearing hordes. So yeah, might have to think about that. Don't particularly want to throw him away on his own. So it'd be interesting to see how this game progresses. Right, I better get a dice, or two dices. Two dices? Two dices. I did have two. I think I tidied them. Here we go. Right. Where am I rolling? So this is the Orc roll. This is to go first. Get a 4 and a 3. So the Orc player gets to choose to go first. Yeah, I've had to think about it. There's not much in the way of gun in this Orc army. If the Orc army goes first, they will quite easily get into range of quite a lot of gun and bows and arrows and psychic powers, and you can't score preliminary objectives or primary objectives in the first turn. So I think the Orc player would choose to go second, because similarly there doesn't appear to be an awful lot of gun in the Thousand Sun line that could delete anything. So yeah, I think it'll be Thousand Suns turn 1. Okay, we're at the end of the Thousand Suns movement phase, turn 1. In their command phase, they gained a command point, putting them back up to 5, having spent 2 before deployment. We're now ready to go into the psychic phase. No, we're not. Just to let you know, the Rhino popped smoke. It had to advance to get just about within 3 inches of that objective. At least it gives your player something to consider. Try and shift him on there. The spawn shuffling forward, slow down a bit by the terrain. The rubrics and the Zangor Enlightened have all moved forward slightly just to get into 24-inch range of the boys down the valley. Same with the Zangors. They've scrabbled over. They've got a 6-inch advance roll. So even being slowed down slightly by the being on the terrain, the crater there, they was able to get within 3 inches of that objective. So currently the Thousand Suns are holding 3 out of the 4 objectives, and will hopefully start now laying down some withering fire down the valley as the screeches and clacks of the Zangors echo off the canyons, along with the bestial roar and war cries of the Orcs. Let's go into the psychic phase. Okay, at the start of the psychic phase for the Thousand Suns in turn 1, I'm going to spend a command point on Chaos Familiar, which basically allows me to select, say, Thousand Suns Psyker. So I'm going to select Mithrakan, the Zangor Shaman, and they get to replace one of their psychic powers with any psychic power from either the Thousand Suns psychic powers, the Chaos Space Marine psychic powers, or the Tzeentch Demon psychic powers. I'm going to go for Prescience. So that is the power that she now, or he has, and she will attempt to cast it. I'm going to cast it on the rubrics to give them +1 to hit. I normally do it on the Enlightened, but I don't know if I really need to put them on the Enlightened. I think it'd be more effective on the rubrics. It's 18-inch range, but +6, so well within range, and it's a warp charge value of 7. And that's a 5 and a 5, so that passes. So the rubrics are +1 to hit. He can only cast 1 power. I've got to decide on the sex of my Zangor. I think it's a he. Okay, so the Photek Armenket, the Warlord, he's mostly out of range. He can't do very much, but what he can do is Weaver of Fate, which has a warp charge value of 6, and he's going to increase the invulnerable save of the Zangor unit in front of him. So that is a 1 and a 2, which is a fail. However, he doesn't have Magister, that's the other psychic. So that fails, and that's fine. Okay, so the other sorcerer, his name escapes me, Hedrada Ran, the belligerent one here, is going to cast good old-fashioned Smite. It's just about within range, measured carefully. It's going to hit the boys unit in front of him, and he needs a 5. And, ooh, that is a super Smite. So that's D6 mortal wounds on the Orc boys. I don't go 3. And, oh, I need some more dice. Hold on a sec. And because they are snake bites, they ignore wounds on 6s. So they ignore one of them, so 2 boys die. First casualties of the game. Okay, and for his second power, he's going to cast Psychic Delve, which is the Cult of Knowledge specific one, and that's a warp charge value of 6, and that goes off on a 6, and it's targeting, sorry, I should have said targeting the Orc boy unit, which means that every single Cult of Knowledge unit that targets that unit can now re-roll wound rolls of 1. Okay, lastly, the aspiring sorcerer in the Rubric squad will cast Glamour of Tzeentch, and I think I might put it on the Rhino just to make that a bit more of a annoyance, basically. Warp charge value of 7. If it's successful, it's -1 to hit in the shooting and the combat phase. And yeah, that goes off on a 9. So that Rhino, it's already at -1. I just suddenly remember because it popped smoke in the shooting phase, but it'd now be -1 in the combat phase as well. Of course, one of the rules in 9th is that those modifiers can't stack, so it's not -2 to shoot. It's simply just -1 all round, so a bit of a wasted smoke thinking about it, but there we go, it could have not succeeded. And that will be the end of the Thousand Suns psychic phase. So let's go on to shooting. Okay, the Zangor Shaman screeching orders at the Zangor Enlightened to start picking off the boys as they charging down the valley. They're hitting on 3s, they're assault 2 weapons with their bows, but they get +1 to hit because the shaman is within 6, and they'll be auto wounding on 5s because of that. So hitting on 2s, auto wounding on 5. So those ones miss. That 5 and 6 auto wounds. So does that 5. So that's only 3 auto wounds. The rest are at strength 4. Toughness 4 for an Orc boy. So wounding on 4s. Only 2 more. So that's 5 wounds altogether. 5 wounds at -1. They've only got a 6 save. Haven't got a mech boy yet. So that's pretty much a must. So 5 shrugs for the snake bites. Ignore wounding on 6. And they ignore none of them. So that's 5 dead. Okay, next up, the squad of rubrics. I'm going to spend another command point. Puts me down to 3 on veterans of the Long War. And they will open up with everything into the boys. So the Soul Reaper cannon will be hitting on 2s because of their prescient stuff. That's too many dice. Well, they all hit actually, so that's fine. So 4 hits because of prescience. Strength 5, so normally winning on 3s, but 2s now because of veterans. Oh, good job too. So that's 3 wounds. 3 wounds at -3. They've only got a 6 up save. So 6 up, Snakebite Shrug. Manages to protect 1. So that's 2 more dead. The pistol will be out of range. So that will leave 8 normal legionnaires. They can't rapid fire because they moved, but they are hitting on 2s. Oh dear, is that cocked? Yeah, I could call that cocked. So it's 2 misses, and because of prescience, would be wounding on 4s. Veterans, they would be wounding on 4s, but now 3s because of veterans. And so that's 4 6s. Ooh. Saves 1, so that's another 3 dead. And that, as it turned out, was the end of the shooting phase for the Thousand Suns. Got no more gun. The sorcerers, shadow there. Got all pistols are out of range, and there will be no charges either. So that will be the end of the Thousand Suns turn. Now they destroyed 12 orcs from that unit, but there is no morale test to take. There's a squad of 30, so there's 18 left. So even if I rolled a 6, you also count other orc units, I believe. I might have to double check the rules, but the war boss is there and the truck is there, so I'm pretty sure they can't fail a morale check. I will double check just to make sure that's correct. And yeah, so the Thousand Suns did score a victory point for thin the ranks. So they basically get a victory point for every 10 models they destroy, and they destroyed 12. Okay, so that's 1 victory point to the Thousand Suns as we go into Orc turn 1. Okay, here we are at the end of the Orcs movement phase. I have to say, I don't feel that confident from the Orcs perspective. I really should have perhaps put this in the teleporter and then have it ping in the enemy lines in later turns, playing the ramming speed stratagem. But here we go, live and learn. The boys did advance, rolled a 3, then spent a command point to re-roll that, putting the orcs back down to 6. They then, because they gained 1 in their command phase, that keeps open a real long bomb 12-inch charge possibility by avoiding the craters into either the rubrics or the Zangor Enlightened, because they can advance and charge because of the war ability of the war boss. The truck just stayed where it is. It's going to just sit on that objective. The Mega Knobs haven't advanced. Again, they could possibly do a long bomb charge to the Rhino and try and take that objective off them. The Bonebreaker has scooted round. Again, possibility of a long bomb charge. It's going to have to deduct 2 to go over that crater though. yeah, I wasn't too sure what to do with the Death Killer Wartrike. Perhaps not very well deployed. If I try to take on the Zangors, he just gets swamped, just get counter charge. He'll probably kill 4 or 5, and then die. So he can't also just hide there. That's not very war boss like. So he has zoomed around. He's used his grot fuel to give him an automatic 6 inches on his advance, and that is 12 inches away from the Zangor enlightened, and he will be using the ramming speed stratagem to get himself a 3d6 re-rollable charge, because of here we go. Yeah, he could still be in a lot of trouble, frankly, but he could probably take on a few of those Zangor enlightened. I am conscious of Green Tide. I'm keeping some command points back. So is the Thousand Suns player, so he will be thinking about killing the entire squad if at all possible next turn. Otherwise, those boys are just going to be coming back. Right, there's no psychic phase, so let's go on into the Orc shooting phase. Okay, kicking off the Orc shooting phase, the war boss, I've forgotten his name, Skarzot Face Crumper, will fire his combi rocket shooter thingy at the you can just about see the spawn. I think they look a bit tasty. You might as well fire both profiles, because the advance is going to be hit on 6s anyway. So this is the shooter hitting on 6s, misses, and then the rocket misses. Well, it made a good noise. Everyone was very happy with that. Those boys all advance, although there is a big shooter in there. That is 3 dice. Because you advance, he'd be -1 to hit. He shall also shoot into the rubrics. I'm not shooting perhaps a more obvious target, the enlightened, because I'm rather wary of casualties being taken away and then making charges impossible. So this is into the rubric. No, yeah, I'm going to go into blah 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 blah. I'm thinking about their 2+ save, frankly, because they got all his dust. No, actually, can he see? I'll go into the rubrics. I don't think he can see the spawn. And oh, that's cocked. No, misses. Wow, they're snake bites. What do you expect? They don't really know what a gun is. Okay, I might as well do the Death Killer Wartrike. He will shoot what he can. This is in range into the normal Zangors over here. Okay, well I did the Death Killer Wartrike off camera, and the truck, and the rockets from the Meganobs, and they did absolutely nothing. Completely whiffed. The Bonebreaker has fired its big shooters into the spawn and managed to nick a wound off one of them. And the final gun in the Orc army is the kill cannon. It's heavy D6, and it's going to go into the rubric marines. And because it's a blast weapon, it'd be a minimum of 3, because there's more 6 or more models in the unit. So let's see where it gets. So that becomes 3. I might also do this on camera. Hitting on 5s. Oh, that's cocked. That's proper voice. Gravel looks good, but right. So I get 1 hit. It's strength 8, toughness 4. So I'll be wounding on 2s. It does wound. It's -2 damage. So I don't get all his dust. So it's 5 up, favoured of Zinch, invulnerable save, and that is a fail. So 1 rubric is slain, and that's the end of the Orc shooting phase. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, we better go on to the charge phase. Right, so I better get this on camera. So the Death Killer Wartrike is going to declare a charge against the Zangor Enlightened. I am in denial whether that would go basically go over that terrain piece. I'm sort of treating all of these rocks as either just simply line of sight blocking terrain or the lower sections as hills. So I basically have allowed my orc self to be able to charge round here, avoiding this terrain, and still potentially get in. Other charges declared: the Orc Boys and the War Boss are going to go into... Hold on a sec, let me just measure this. Yes, they're going to go into the rubrics. It's an 11-inch charge if they avoid the terrain, and I'm going to declare charges against the Rhino from the Bonebreaker and the Mega Knobs. So charges across the field, but most of them are long bombs, 11 or 12 inches. The important one is going to be the Bonebreaker, the Death Killer Wartrike. So let's get this on camera. Am I going to Overwatch? I've got 3 command points. No, I don't think there's going to be any Overwatch happening. So this is the Death Killer Wartrike. I need 12. And that's 11. So if I re-roll that, I need a 3, 4, 5 or 6 will get me in, but the 1 or 2 will be a failed charge. I'm definitely keeping the 5. I think I should keep the 4. So this is, oh my goodness, this is quite an important roll. Yes. Oh yes. That's 12 inches. I'm just checking my maths, isn't it? No, it's 13. That's right. Okay, we're definitely in. 13. Hurrah. I shall roll the others off camera. Okay, we're back after the charge phase. The ramming speed cost me 2 command points. So the Orc player is down to 4. 1,000 Suns down to 3. Unfortunately, that was... Sorry, the Bonebreaker failed. Only just... with Here We Go, you can reroll any of the charge dice. Rolled a 6 and a 1, rerolled a 1, rolled a 2, and I probably needed a 4 really to get in. But the Mega Knobs rolled 11 straight up, so they are in. So yeah, they should make a rather large dent as they come charging out of the smoke caused by that Rhino. Not necessarily the biggest threat on the board though, but it does mean that the 1,000 Suns player has lost control of that objective. Right, okay. On a 2+, because of ramming speed, the units being charged suffers D3 mortal wounds. So yes, I rolled a 2, so D3 mortal wounds for 2, so it's going to kill 1 immediately. No, that's the... Okay. Let me get some dice. Okay, you saw my thumb then. Right, okay. Death Killer Wartrike using a Snagger Claw is going to hit on 2s. Oh no! That's 3 1s. Oh no. Command point. So he gets 3 hits. Orcs down to 3 command points. Strength is +2. So he will be wounding on... Right, it's strength 7 effectively. So wounding on 3s. Reroll all failed wounds because the Snagger Claw does that. So reroll that 1. Oh, it still fails. Yeah. And these guys have got a 5-up or a Dark Glory invulnerable save, which they fail, and it's D3 wounds a time. Oh no, it's just going to kill 1. Yeah, I just rolled Snake Eyes for the D3 wounds, so just another 1 dead. That was pretty poor, frankly, for girls. And, yeah. Okay, let's move on to the other charging units. I've got 3 Mega Knobs here. The Thousand Sun player choosing not to spend 2 command points to interrupt with a Rhino. They've got 3 attacks each. Yep. Now this Rhino has got Glamorous Inch on, but the Power Claws are already unwieldy. So you can't get more than -1 onto something, so that actually doesn't really matter. So these are hitting on 4s. Dear. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hits. Their strength times 2, so strength 10. Toughness 7 for the Rhino, so it's 3 to wound. Count that as 2, so that's 3 wounds. 3 minus 3 saves, so 6 ups. Why am I doing it? There I am. No, and that's 3d3 wounds, so it's not going to kill the Rhino. For 3, 4, 5 wounds. Okay, I think I got 10. I'll double check, but yeah. Okay, I'll do attack. Okay, the Rhino revved its engines and did nothing. So the Aviarch has 3 attacks. All the other Zangor License has 2 attacks. Normally hit on 3s because they're just about within 6. I did measure it. Even after piling in hitting on 2s, they don't auto wound with their close assault weapons. So that's still 3 misses. Strength 4, toughness 6. So 5s to wound. And they score 2 wounds, and it'll be 2 4-up saves, which is passed. So no damage caused back, and that will be the end of the combat phase. Their leadership 6, and they've lost 2, so they could fail. 5, yes, they do fail. Right, so 1 flees. Morale was a little bit of a weakness of the Thousand Suns, I've found, and they're still, well, they were over half at the point they made the failed on morale. I think that's how it works. Correct me if I'm wrong, so I think they only flee now on 1s, not 1s and 2s. Oh, I didn't roll any 1s or 2s anyway, so that's good. So just 1 flees. There's no other morale to take. The rubric only took 1 casualty. Okay, that's the end of the Orcs' turn. Yes, the Orcs have not scored any victory points. They can't yet claim any of the objectives. They've not killed any characters, and they've not killed any psychic units. So, as it stands, it remains 1 victory point to the Thousand Suns and 0 to the Orcs. As we go into Thousand Suns turn 2. Just before we go into Thousand Suns turn 2, I just forgot to do the discs for Zangor and License, and in fact they managed to take a wound off that Death Killer Wartrike, putting him down to 7 wounds. Okay, let's go on to Thousand Suns turn 2. Okay, here we are at the end of the Thousand Suns movement phase. At the end of their command phase, they gained a command point to put them back up to 3, and also they got 5 victory points for holding this objective, and another 5 for holding a second objective, but they didn't get any more because they don't hold more objectives than the enemy. I also reread the survey rules, and you have to control both this and this to get your 5 secondary objective points. I misread that. It's not just per objective. So both sides looking unlikely. Although, as I will just explain, oh, see my shadow. This is now contested, 3 models each. And yeah, so it's now 11 victory points to 0 in favour of the Thousand Suns. We're about to go into the psychic phase, but just to show you what's happened, the Zangors have come round the side here, looking to get a charge off on the Deathkiller Wartrike if it's still around after the psychic phase. This is very much Operation Kill the Deathkiller Wartrike. The Zangor Enlightened have fallen out of combat. Hedrada Ran has given express orders to protect the Rubric squad back here, because they do need to continue to whittle down those Ork boys. So the Enlightened will sell their lives dearly in order for that to happen, as to be a bit of a speed bump for them. The Zangor Shaman has come down to support Hedrada Ran in dealing psychic blasts against the Deathkiller Wartrike. The Rhino is now smoking and is quite badly damaged, but the spawn are going to go piling into the Ork Mega Knobs. It'll be an interesting battle to see who fares in that combat. Okay, altogether, I think the Thousand Suns are doing okay. It was really important for the Ork player to get that charge in with the Deathkiller Wartrike. But yeah, there's a big mob of Zangors not doing very much at the moment, but I think they will about to make their presence known. Again, got to keep an eye on that green tide stratagem, because a lot of these boys could be coming back, which might make it quite difficult for the Thousand Suns in the latter stages of the game. But we'll see. Okay, let's go into the psychic phase. Okay, kicking off the psychic phase, Photic Amonkhet is here. Now I got down and I think I can just about see the rear of the oh, I forgot the name of it. Hold on. Deathkiller Wartrike. Just about. So he's going to do a cheeky smite as he zooms past. That is a pass on a 10. That will cause D3 mortal wounds for bit cocked for 1, which he will shrug on a 6 because he's a snake bite. No, so he's taken his second wound. He's got 6 left. For his second power, he will cast Weaver of Fates on the Zangors. If successful, that would give them a 4-up invulnerable instead of their normal 5-up. No, that's a fail. Okay, that's his 2 powers. Okay, moving on to the Zangor Shaman, Mithrankar. He will cast, he's only got Prescience or Smite. He will smite the Deathkiller Wartrike. This is a 6 now. Does succeed, and it's D3 for 2 this time, which are shrugged on 6s. Now 2 more wounds, so that is 4 in total, putting him down to 4. Oops. Been softened up psychically, psychic barrage before the charges come in. Now Hedrada Ran, he will, can they deal with 4 wounds? Probably. But he better not risk it. See, right, yeah, he will cast Smite. This is a 7 now. Not used to this. Oh! Right. That's a super smite, but it's also a perils. But I'm going to keep the result and play a command point. yeah, that command point is Adepts of the Immaterial. It's one of the new ones from the Psychic Ritual book, which basically means on a command point I ignore the results of the perils, but the dice remain. So simply ignore the D3 damage on himself, but it does D6 on the Wartrike for 5. So I need to roll 5 dice. Or Zogger Badfang is removed as a casualty. I need 2 6s to keep him in the game. No, not a single one. Can't even command point that either. He is been slain. Well, not slain. He's sort of bike's been wrecked and he's probably piled under wreckage. He'll be back, no doubt. Okay, and the last psychic power will be from the rubrics, and they are going to cast Psychic Delve on the squad of boys in front of them for warp charge value of 6. And that goes off this time. So basically every cult of knowledge unit that targets this squad of boys will re-roll wound rolls of 1. Just in case you weren't aware, even though the Zangors are within this detachment, Cult of Knowledge detachment, they don't gain the Cult of Knowledge benefits. So that their presence doesn't stop the detachment from becoming a Cult of Knowledge detachment, but they, for example, won't be able to reroll rolls of 1 against that unit. I think that is the end of the psychic phase for the Thousand Suns. Yes, they've absolutely blew apart that Deathkiller Wartrike in a display of psychic mastery. Whoops, I've just got my paperwork in the corner there. Pretend you didn't see that. Yeah, we better go on to the shooting phase. Okay, there's not a lot of shooting for the Thousand Suns to do. The Rhino shot into combat as vehicles can now with its twin bolters, but didn't do anything. So this is 14 rapid firing warp bolters into the Ork boys, firing expertly in between the Zangor Enlightened, and they are hitting on 3s. Wow, and that's a lot of misses. Oh dear. That is a pretty poor roll. Oh my goodness. Wow. So only 5 out of 14 hits, hitting on 3s. Wounding, I've not played veterans, so wounding on 4s. And I'll just roll it off the camera, you can see it. So that's 3 wounds, goes through their armour, 6 up, snakebite shrugs. No, it does kill 3. That was a little bit disappointing from the Thousand Suns. So they've still got to fire the Soul Reaper, so that will happen now. So that's hitting on 3s, getting 3 hits. Strength 5, toughness 4, so wounding on 3s. 3 wounds, -3, straight through armor, 6 up, snakebite shrugs. Oh, that's a bit better. So that's 5 boys slain in total. And I think, yes, I'm going to spend another command point called Infernal Fusillade, or Fusillade. I was always going to do it. I forgot to mention it on tape, but one advantage of playing yourself is that you knew what you were going to do, and your opponent knew. my orc self knows that that's what my Thousand Suns self was going to do. So it basically is a single command point, really good stratagem, which allows a squad of rubrics or Scarab Occult Terminators to fire twice if they didn't move their rapid fire weapons. So it doesn't affect the Soul Reaper, that can't fire again, but all the warp bolters can, and so I'm going to do that now. So here's the roll, hitting on 3s. And wounding on 4s. Rerolling 1s because of Psychic Delve. Not sure if I don't think I remember that last time, don't know if I had any impact on it, but there we go. There's only 3 more, and they ignore wounds on 6s. Oh, there's 1 shrug, and no, so 2 more dead, so that's 7 dead in total. Okay, here we are in the charge phase of the Thousand Suns. The spawn are going to be auto win. In fact, I will roll just to see if I... Oh, Snake Eyes. Okay, that'll probably do. I just want a Snake Eyes for a charge, but they were going to be auto in. Just seeing if they was going to go around a bit more towards the objective, but that's fine. The Rhinos stayed in combat to stop the Orks from being able to overwatch, and the Thousand Suns is going to use his last command point until obviously gets a new one in the command phase on Fated Mutation. Now that's going to be the only charge in this turn. So the Chaos Spawn will attack first. Normally you roll a d6, and that's how many attacks it has, but also then you roll a d3. Yeah, so depending on what you roll, you get particular bonuses, but with Fated Mutation, you get to choose it. So I'm going to be choosing Razor Claws Focus, which basically means I have AP -4 until the end of the fight phase, which will be good at getting through this knob armor. They have d6 attacks, which basically is for every model in the unit, and I can re-roll that, which I will do with Faded Mutation, but I have to accept the second roll. So 4. So I basically got 8 attacks. And the weapon skill 4, so hitting on 4s. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfectly statistically average. And strength is 5, so there'll be wounding on 3s. Oh, they all wound. Now, because these are -4, they're gonna... Oh, player needs 6 up saves. Is that caught that cold? No, still fails. And it's flat 2 damage. So 1, 2 dead Meganobs. If I don't roll any 6s, because of course they've got 6 up shrugs. Almost forgot. So on 6s, hold on, say if I've done that right, yes, that's 1 dead Meganob, but 1 is alive on 1 wound. So that does make a difference. So 1 will die, and 1 has taken 3 wounds. Okay, the Meganobs will attack back. So the Orc player is going to play a stratagem called Hit Armada. It's 1 command point, and it increases the damage output of their weapons by 1 in the fight phase. The knobs are half an inch within half an inch. They're both going to put all their attacks against the spawn, because I think the Rhino is not really a concern for them. And they're hitting on 4s. That's good. 4 hits. Now, their strength is 10. Toughness of spawn is 5, so they're wounding on 2s. And 3 get 3. And that's going to go burning straight for their 5-up armor. And it's going to be D3 plus 1. So the first spawn's got 3 wounds left, so he takes 3 wounds and dies. And then second, yeah, he's dead, and there's wounds to spare. So both spawn are destroyed by the Meganobs. Right, the Rhino revved its engines and failed to inflict any wounds on the Meganobs, and so that is the end of the term for the Thousand Sons. They have scored another victory point for thin the ranks, and as we go on to the Orc turn 2, the Thousand Sons were probably thinking that they're doing okay. I think for the Orcs' perspective, it's not all over yet. The spawn just, well, I say bounced off. The Mega Knobs, they almost killed 2, but got squished in return. I think the Bone Breakers are going to have to do a lot of work, so I need to think about what that's going to do. Still got Green Tide in my back pocket, but there's still enough boys there to cause some difficulties. But yeah, it's where they're going to go. There's so many potential targets. But yeah, all players can have a little think about things. Of course, Zogger Badfang has been removed. He's been KO'd underneath his wrecked Death Killer Wartrike, and won't see any more part of this battle. So we'll see what Warboss Skarzot Face Crumper can do in Orc turn 2. Right, one thing I forgot to do is the morale test for the Orc boys. They lost 7. There's 10 left in that unit, so they take their leadership as 10. So basically, roll a dice, add 3 to the number they lost, which is 10. Leadership is 10. They hold. They are in their happy place. Right, here we are at the end of the Orcs' movement turn. In the command phase, they gained a command point, putting them back up to 4. They also scored 5 victory points for holding that objective. And 5, no, don't hold that one. And 5 for holding 2 or more objectives. So that gives them their first command points, victory points on the table, giving them 10 victory points. In terms of movement, the Bone Breaker has ploughed its way through the difficult terrain here, which meant it suffered a 2-inch movement deduction, which places it here. The boys have got as close as they can to the Zangor Enlightened, and the truck is staying there. I appreciate that's not a very good use of a truck with nothing in, but there we go. Now, I know I'm playing myself, so I try not to think too far ahead as to what could happen, what my opponent, in inverted commas, might do to react. So I put the Zangor Enlightened in front of the rubrics in order to protect them from the Orc boys, but looking at it, it may have exposed these 2 characters here. So there is a plan, a cunning plan from the Orc Warboss. We're going to try and use the Orc shooting phase to clear these Zangors and enable a relatively long charge, but not an impossible charge, for the Orc Warboss and his boys to try and engage these 2 characters here. It would very much assist in shutting down the Thousand Sons psychic advantage. They do have Assassinate as well as a secondary objective, so it's going to be quite important that this gets pulled off. Okay, let's go to the Orc shooting phase. So kicking off then with the sluggers in the Orc boys into the Zangors in front of them, hitting on 5s. 6s are Daka. So 1, 2, 3. 3 hits, 1 Daka, which converts to 4 hits. Strength 4, toughness 4, 4s to wound. Scoring 2 wounds, and I've got a 2-up invulnerable save. 1 pass 1 fail 1, so 1 takes a wound. I I'm going to actually have to put it on the AV arc because I don't want to start drawing casualties from that side of the squad. Heavy slugger. Ah, it's too many dice. Oh no, it's good rolls, huh? I'll try that again, sorry. Heavy slugger. Misses. Damn it. And yes, that's that squad. Okay, rinse and repeat. This is the heavy slugger in the truck into the Zangor Enlightened. Scoring 1 hit, strength 5, toughness 4, so freeze to wounds, and then a 5 up invulnerable. No, so that does slay one of the Zangor Enlightened. Okay, do the war boss. Now he's got a custom rocket launcher, shooter combi weapon. If I choose to fire both profiles, he'd be hitting on 6s, so it's normally assault 2 hitting on 5s, or I could add the rocket into it, hitting on 6s. I'm going to try and get lucky, and I'm going to fire both profiles. So this is the slugger. Oh no, that would have been 2 hits. Oh well, 2 misses. And then the rocket. Oh, does that count as a... Yes, I think that's a hit. And a Daka, which misses. So the rocket will wound on 2s. It's strength 8. Yep. 5 up. Fails, and it's D3 wound. So this could kill. Yes, and it does. So that makes me feel bad about missing. So 1 more Zangor Enlightened dies. Now, it's absolutely imperative that that last Zangor dies in order to allow for the charge against the characters. So the only other unit that could do that is the Bonebreaker. Now, here's a question I'm asking myself. It's going to have to fire all its guns, because orc shooting can sometimes be very good, sometimes, but is often, it's usually pretty poor. So I'm going to have to shoot all its guns against it. Assuming I can see it. Yeah. I'm going to have to shoot all its guns against it. Now there's a stratagem which is more Daka. It's 2 CPs, and basically means I get Daka on a 5 up. So quite a good stratagem when you really want something shot. But I wonder if it's a waste, because it's only 1 Zangor. And it would drop my CP down to 2, which will stop me being able to play Green Tide. But I believe I can only use that at the end of my movement phase anyway, so I'm going to get a command point back. So yes, I've talked myself into it. I'm now playing more Daka on the Bonebreaker. Okay, so it's probably overkill, but these are these sluggers, heavy sluggers, hitting on 5s, and every hit generates more hits. Yeah, this is probably going to completely kill him. So that is 6 hits, which generate more hits, more Dakas on 5s. So 1 more hit. This is strength 5, toughness 4, freeze to wound, and 2 wounds to get through, 5 up saves to make. Ooh! He's dead, and the Thousand Suns player does not have a command point. Doesn't mean that the big cannon on top just completely blows his corpse to smithereens, but there we go, it needed to be done. Okay, here we are at the Orc charge phase. The Bonebreaker will declare a charge against the Rhino. It's already locked in combat, so obviously can't overwatch. I'll just roll it now. That is a 10-inch charge. Probably swing round and engage like that. Now I've been thinking about the Orcs here and the war boss. It's an 11-inch charge against the Zangor Shaman, and a 10-inch charge against the Sorcerer from the war boss. I think realistically, the Orcs, the boys, are probably only going to be able to make it in against the sorcerer. Now, do I declare both? If I declare both and fail the charge against the sorcerer, the Exangor shaman, then both charges fail, and that would be a bitter blow for the orcs. So, is he brave? Rolling an 11 on 2d6, but I can re-roll both dice. It's I think I'm gonna have to try and play it safe. So I'm gonna declare charges from the war boss and the boys against the sorcerer only. So this is a 10-inch charge. This is the war boss, and that's a fail. Now, if I just re-roll the 1, I'll have to roll a 6 to get in. So I'm gonna have to re-roll both. No. So let's do the boys. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, there's no ability to Overwatch because 1,000 Suns haven't got any command points at the moment. And, oh no, it's not looking good. Yeah, I'm going to re-roll both. Here we go. Oh, no, they don't get in. Oh, I think that might cost them the game. Oh dear. Right, let's go into combat then. Okay. The Bonebreaker has 6 attacks plus D6 for the Bonebreaker Ram. Which is free, so it's 9 attacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. That's hitting on 2s. Because Bonebreaker Ram gets to add 3 to the hit rolls. So it's normally hitting on 5s, goes to 2s. So a couple of 1s. Strength is +1, so it's strength 9. Against toughness 7 of the Rhino. So freeze to wound. Okay, and that's at -2. Flat 2 damage. So 5 up saves, 5 wounds to get through. Ooh. Wow. Oh my goodness. It only took 2 wounds. Incredible. Wow. Okay, so it was on 5, 6, taken 6 wounds. Got 3 left. Oh, I thought that was going to be an easy crump for the Bonebreaker as it sheared off the rear of the tank. Right, so the Rhino, I might as well get this on camera, will attack first because it's the opposing player's units that attack first once you've done the charges. That's D3 attacks. It might only have 1 attack actually now. Let me just check. Yes, it still has D3 attacks. So that's 2 attacks hitting on 6s. That's against the Mega Knobs and it misses. Okay, so the Mega Knobs will attack back. Got 3 attacks each, hitting on 4s. And 3 hits. Strength is 10, freeze to wound. Only 1 wound. And it is -3, so 6 up save. No, D3 damage, 3 wounds to get through. 2, leaving right on 1 wound. Wow. Okay. Right, I'm going to have to command point reroll one of those failed wounds. Because otherwise, the Bonebreaker is going to get pinned in combat. We'll have to, it's got to really go for the rubrics up here, and it won't be able to do so. While there's a Rhino, had every expectation that the Rhino would be destroyed by these 2 units. So here's a reroll. Does wound, so that need another 6 up save to keep the Rhino alive. No, so it is destroyed. That was probably it's probably a command point well spent. Does mean that green tiles looking unlikely now. Does it explode? Where's the dice? No, it doesn't. It just gets removed from play. Okay, and that is the end of the Orcs' turn. The Bonebreaker and the Mega Knobs consolidating. No secondary objectives have been obtained. They haven't killed any Psyche units yet. And the and they haven't got control of both of these objectives here. In fact, the Orcs have got a bit bored with that one. Yeah, and what was the other one? They haven't killed any characters. So yeah, we're going to go on to Thousand Suns turn 3. Orcs on 10 victory points. Okay, this is the beginning of Thousand Suns turn 3. At the end of their command phase, they gained a command point. They're on 1, 2 victory objectives, so they've obtained 10 more victory points. I should say I didn't consolidate the Meganobs in the end because it would effectively throw away 5 victory points from the Orcs. Would only be on 1, and in fact then grant another 5 to the Thousand Suns, so it'd be a 10-point victory point swing just by moving them off that objective. I was planning to run them into the Bonebreaker and then because they're so slow, just to sort of bring them up towards the rubrics. But I think this is what you need some grots for, but they're just going to have to sit pretty on that objective, which is very unlike a Meganob. Some of the decisions I'm having to make as the Orcs is just simply due to the sort of units I have. So yeah, the Zangors are all shuffling round. There's going to be possibly a charger across that crater. Then the sorcerer back there is sitting on that objective. Now, there's been a challenge issued across the valley, and it has been answered. Now, foolhardy you might think, but I reckon there's a good chance that these rubrics will kill quite a few of those Orcs. And it suddenly occurred to me that the Warlord is the closest visible enemy unit to these two sorcerers, and so there could be a couple of smites coming down towards him, and sufficient to soften him up for the coup de grace to be administered by Hadrada Ran here. So he's a belligerent character. He'll be looking to make his name in dispatching this war boss. Okay, let's go into the Thousand Suns psychic phase. Okay, smite coming in from the Zangor Shaman on the war boss. And that's a pass. D3 mortal wounds for 2, which he will shrug on a 6. Oh, shrugs 1, so he's taken 1 wound. He's got 5 left. Smite coming in from the other sorcerer, from Heradaran, on a... Oh, not that. He will be casting on a 6 now, but he can reroll 1s because of his Warlord trait in the psychic phase. So that does succeed. Another D3 mortal wounds. Only 1. Ooh, that's a bit cocked. 6 up invulnerable. No. Warboss takes his 2nd wound. Is it going to be enough? Now for his 2nd spell, he's going to cast Infernal Gaze against Warboss. Warp charge value of 5. Oh no! I think you can reroll that again. Let me double check the rules. Yes, Ardent Scholar means he can reroll any 1s rolled on each psychic test. So these are separate psychic tests, so he can reroll. And that does go off. So Infernal Gaze means that I roll 4 dice. It's like 3 dice, and on a 4 up, mortal wounds are caused. So that's 1, 2, 3 mortal wounds. 3 6 up shrugs. 1 is shrugged, so 2 more wounds caused. 4, only 2 wounds left. Oh dear. Okay, Sorcerer of Thatek Amonkhet will cast Psychic Delve on the Orc Boys unit. Warp charge value of 6. And that succeeds. So wound rolls of 1 can be re-rolled against that unit from any Cult of Knowledge unit attacking them. Okay, the shooting phase for the Thousand Suns is pretty much the Sorcerer and the Rubrics unit. They're trying to ignore the Bonebreaker bearing down on them. They're going to unload everything into these Orc Boys. And I'm going to spend a command point on Veterans of the Long War. putting me back down to 0 again. So there's 14 rapid fire warp bolters, plus 1 warp pistol. It's 15 dice hitting on freeze. Let's try and film the roll. That's cocked. Okay. Wounding will be on 4s, but now freeze because of veterans. Ooh, that's a good wound roll. Only 2 fail to wound. Straight for their armor. 6 up shrugs. 2 shrugs. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Just leaving the knob and the heavy slugger. But here it is, the Soul Reaper cannon. 2 misses. Wounding on strength 5, toughness 4, so wounding on 3s to 2s because of veterans. Only 1 wound, -3 save, so 6 up shrug. That's cocked. Oh my god, yes. Finally kills that, so just leaving the knob left. Right, all that remains in the shooting phase is the Harada Ran's souped up warp pistol in Caladian's Cry, which is pistol D6. It's going to shoot into the knob. I really want to kill the last of this Ork boy unit to stop Green Tide coming. So it's pistol D6 2, and it's hitting on. Right, it's also hitting strength 6, -2, 1 damage. So both of these need to wound because there's 2 wounds to get through. So freeze to wound. Oh no! The knob will live! And he will shrug that on a 6. So the knob does take a wound, but importantly is not slain. Let's go on into the charge phase. Okay, the charge will be fairly simple. Harada Ran is going to go into both of those Orks and declare the knob and the war boss. It's a 7-inch charge to get round to the knob. And he's in. The Zangors, it's an 8-inch charge, but -2 because of the terrain. So I need to get 10. They're also declaring both charges. And they fail. They've even got a Brayhorn in there to add 1 to that, but that's going to be a failed charge. So here we go. It's hero on hero action. Ooh. No overwatch from the Ork player as he beckons on his adversary. Right, so Harada Ran has 3 attack space plus 1 for Hateful Assault. He's going to put 2 into the knob to try and avoid Green Tide, and 2 into the war boss. So into the knob, hitting on freeze. No! He's fluffed it! His moment of destiny arose and he fluffed it. Let's see what he does to the war boss, hitting on freeze. Gets 2 hits on the war boss. He's strength 4, but with a 4 stave, it's +2 to that. So wounding on freeze against toughness 5. Does get 2 wounds. War boss has a 4-up save. It's -1, so these are 5-ups. Makes 1, fails 1. He's got 2 wounds left, and this will cause D3 wounds. The York player needs the command points of Green Tide, so it's just going to have to see. On a 1 or 2, the war boss lives. 3, 4, 5, 6, he dies, or he's slain. That's it. He's got him, and that's the end of the. There's not. There's an attack back by the knob. Actually, I forgot to do the Snakebite shrugs on the war boss, so I need 3 6s to keep him in the game. So here we go. No, that's 4. That's 4 1s. So no, he is well and truly dead. Okay. I also considered spending 2 command points for Orks is never beaten in battle, which would allow the war boss to strike back before he's slain. But I really do need to keep it for Green Tide. But then I suddenly remembered morale. This Knob is on his own. I think he had seven casualties this turn. So unless I roll a 1, he's going to flee automatically. Yeah, which seems rather unlikely, doesn't it? I could spend 2 command points for Insane Bravery, but then it would take me till turn 5 to get the 3 command points. I would need to play Green Tide. I was thinking about perhaps putting him out of combat, getting him in the truck until I have that many command points available, and then getting him out, then playing Green Tide, but it'd be turn 5, and I just think it would be too little too late. I'm not entirely sure what to do. Right, I've had a think. I don't think I'm going to get Green Tide. I keep talking about it all game, and I just don't think it's going to happen. I need to roll a 1 for Insane Bravery if I do that. So I am going to spend 2 command points on Orks is never beaten in battle. So Warboss Zakrot Face Crumper, zapped with all sorts of psychic assaults, dispatched seemingly by the sorcerer Hedrada Ron, manages to keep on his feet. He has 4 attacks. He's hitting on 2s because he's got the big claw. He still misses twice. He's probably really hurt himself. He's going to be wounding on 2s. Hold on a second. Yes, he's brutal but cunning. His warlord trait, so he can reroll his 2 misses. So he gets 4 hits. His strength's 10, toughness 4, so wounding on 2s. Rerolling failed wounds because of the killer claw. Yep, so that is 4 wounds. Minus 3 save, so Hedrada Ron has favoured of Tzeentch in vulnerable save of a 5 up. Fails. Yeah, he's completely squished. 43 wounds. I think he only has 4 wounds. Yeah. It gets taken down. So, Hedrada Ron and Skarzot Face Crumper take each other down in melee. Now, there's a morale test to make with this Knob. Now, I'll be slightly annoyed if I roll a 1 from the Orc perspective, because it means I could have played Green Tide. So, let's see. 2. That makes me feel a bit better. He flees. Okay, and that's the end of the Thousand Suns. Is it only turn 2? Oh my goodness. So here we are at the end of the Orc movement phase in turn 3. The Orcs have, or the Meganobs have just shuffled forward a bit just to get in range with the Zangor Shaman, who's targetable on his own over there, but also just about staying within 3 inches and holding that objective. Guess what? The truck has done nothing. He must have run out of petrol or squig juice or whatever Orc vehicles run on. He's just going to sit pretty on there, and the Bonebreaker has moved around to engage the rubrics. I have actually got some Gretchen and some shooter boys ready to get painted, so that will probably enable me as an Orc player to have like Gretchen or something like that sitting on objective as opposed to an empty truck. At the end of the command phase, the Orcs gained 1 command point, putting them back onto 1. And as victory points, I'll have a quick tally of the victory points. Both armies have scored 20 primary objectives. However, the Thousand Suns have got 3 victory points, secondary objectives for thin the ranks, and have also scored 6 for slaying the Warlord. That puts their total on 29. The Orcs have killed a psychic unit. That's Hedrada Ron. That gives them 5 victory points. Sorry, Psyker, not just psychic unit. Psychic character, 5 victory points. And they have got 3 victory points for assassinating that character as well. So it's actually 29-28 in favour to the Thousand Suns, which I think rather flatters the Orc position somewhat, but we'll see what happens in this Orc turn 3. Let's go on to the shooting phase. Okay, the kill cannon in the Bonebreaker will simply not recording. It's your yeah. The kill cannon in the Bonebreaker will fire into the rubrics. All of its heavy sluggers, in addition to the heavy slugger from the truck, are going to go into Zangors. So I'll do them together. So they're hitting on 5s. Oh, I think that was a 5. Getting 2 Dakkers. 1 hits. So that many shots. Strength 5, toughness 4, so 3s. And that's 4 wounds. And they've got 4 5-up Aura of Dark Glory invulnerable saves. Saves 1, so that's 3 Zangors slain. Now, pick up these dice. Kill cannon is heavy d6 into the rubrics for 1. It hit on 5. Oh, it does hit. It wound on 2, strength 8. Wounds. Favoured of Tzeentch, invulnerable save, 5-up. Saved. Okay, and then finally, 2 rockets are going to go. Well, here they are. Are going to go corkscrewing through the valley and see if they're going to hit the shaman. 1 hit, wounding on 2s. Oh no, doesn't wound. And that's the end of the shooting phase. Okay, in the charge phase, obviously Bonebreaker managed to get in. There's no Overwatch fired. And that's it. Running out of assets, Orcs. So the Bonebreaker has 6 attacks plus d6. For 3, it's 9 again. This could be quite painful for the rubrics. 6, 7, 8, 9. Hitting on 2s. 1 miss. Strength 9. So wounding on 2s. 1 fails to wound. 7. Minus 2 saves. I don't get all his dust because it's flat 2 damage. So these are 5-ups. And each one is a dead rubric. Ooh, ouch. So that is, 5 squish flat. Okay, the rubrics have piled in and will attack back. These are the normal Marines with Hateful Assault, hitting on 3s. And wounding on 6s, strength 4, toughness 8. Is that cocked? That's quite cocked. Nope, no wounds. And then the Aspiring Sorcerer has 3 attacks with Hateful Assault, hitting on 3s. 2 hits, strength 6, toughness 8, so these are 5s to wound. Gets 1 through, and it's 1 minus 1 save, so 1 5-up save. Yes, I'll take that as 5. Yep, that does save. Okay, that's the end of the Orc turn. Very quick. Now the rubrics lost 5, and their leadership is 8, so I need to make a morale test for them. 5 plus 8, they hold. So 3 plus 5 is 8. Yep, they hold. So the Zangors lost 3. Their leadership is 7 with the twist spray, so they could potentially fail. 4 plus 3 is fine. No, 7 they hold as well. Let's go into Thousand Suns turn 4. Okay, here we are at the end of the Thousand Suns movement phase in turn 4. In their command phase, they gained another command point, putting them back up to 1. The Zangors have advanced, slowed down by the difficult terrain, but they're moving towards the truck. The reason being is that there's probably not anything in this Thousand Suns force that can really take on the Bonebreaker anymore. So this is going to be a crunching the victory points sort of game, and so the chances of us getting a Thousand Suns getting a victory. I think if we can take either that objective or that objective over there, that would help. Out of the two targets, I don't know what's easier for the Zangors to take on. I decided on the truck. Now, the rubrics have not fallen out of combat. The reason being is if they did, you normally do that to allow other units in your army to shoot at this target, but there's nothing really else to shoot. And if they fell out of combat, they'll simply be charged again, and that gives the Bonebreaker an extra d6 attacks. This way, they're only suffering 6 attacks instead of d6 plus 6. But anyway, yeah, there's not really much I can do about that. I considered bombing the Zangor Shaman forward, try and smite the last wound off of that injured Mega Knob, and possibly trying to take that objective, but in doing so should lose this one. So yeah, it's been interesting because there's really few units on the table. It's what do you do with them to hold objectives. So yeah, so this sorcerer as well has just stayed where he is. Probably not going to get any more victory points for Thin the Ranks. So we're only looking at possibly trying to get this objective, but I don't think that's going to be possible. And just really hammering on the primary objective. So that's why the Zangors have done what they are doing. Right. Psychic phase. Okay, the rubric squad sorcerer will cast Glamour of Tzeentch on his own unit, try and make it a bit harder to hit. And that fails on a 4. Now, the sorcerer here, I have pre-measured it. It's just about within 24-inch range of this and in line of sight. So its Bonebreaker is going to get a smite, which succeeds on a 5, d3 mortal wounds for 1, which will shrug on a 6. So there's 1 wound on the Bonebreaker. I think it's got 16 or 15, something like that. I'll have to check. Second power, I didn't really select his powers very well. It's healing and improving invulnerable save. I'm going to do, if it's in range, improve the invulnerable save of the rubrics. Yes, it's in range. It is 18-inch plus 6 because of the Thousand Suns Legion trait. So warp charge value of 6. And that succeeds. So the rubrics have at least an invulnerable save of 4 up. And I might use a stratagem to make that 3 up, depending. Okay, I seriously considered using Chaos Familiar again and swapping Prescience, which this sorcerer has, with Warp Time to try and get the Zangors a bit further up towards the truck. Unfortunately, it's only a 3-inch range, which even for the Thousand Suns extra 6, I think, yeah, maybe. So there. So no, you can only thing you can do is smite the Bonebreaker. Be on a 6 now. That succeeds on a 10. D3 on the Bonebreaker. Oh, 1 again. On a 6, ignore it. Nope. So it's taken 2 wounds of damage. And I believe that will be the close of the Thousand Suns psychic phase. I'll go straight into the Bonebreaker because you select non-charging units and it's the opponent who goes first. So it has 6 attacks, hitting on 2s. They all hit. Strength 9, wounding on 2s. And they all wound, and I'm going to use that strategy to increase their invulnerable save. I should have declared at the point of the attack, but that was on my mind. Yes, it's called Indomitable Phase, so they've actually got a 3-up invulnerable save now. Because of Weaver of Faces on them as well. So look at that. Tzeentch protects. Good. I'm pleased. Okay, attacks back. Hateful Assault no longer in effect, so 3 attacks from the normal Marines, only scoring 1 hit, winning on 6s, doesn't wound. The Aspiring Sorcerer gets 1 hit, winning on 5s. I think that's caught. Oh, goodness sake. Hold on. No, it doesn't wound, it doesn't wound. Right. So that's complete, nothing happens there. So that's the end of 1,000 Suns turn 4. Okay, here we are at the end of the Orc movement phase in turn 4. There's not very much happening. The truck shuffled back while still just about within 3 inches of that objective, just to make it a little bit harder for the Zangors should they decide to charge. The Meganobs continue to not being particularly orky. It's slightly irritating me, that. But they can still see the Zangor Shaman. They're still on that objective. If they move away from it, they basically give 10 victory points to the 1,000 Suns. So they've been all hollowed up to sort of stay put. Maybe they found something really interesting and shiny. Yeah, and the Bonebreakers staying in combat. At the end of the Orc command phase, they gained a command point, putting them back up onto 2, and they gained 10 primary objectives. Victory points from their objectives. Okay, let's go into Orc shooting. Okay, the truck, I did it off camera, the truck fired its heavy shooter into the Zangors and managed to kill 2 of them. The Bonebreaker fired its heavy shooters into the rubrics and did absolutely nothing. I don't think my reading of the rules is that the kill cannon up here, because it's a blast weapon, can't shoot at the 1,000 Suns and into rubrics and can't shoot any other target. The only thing it still needs to do is the Orc Meganobs, and they're going to shoot at the Zangor Shaman. And I can't think of what to spend my command points on anymore, so I'm going to spend give them more Daka. Their shooters are only 18-inch range, they're out of range, but I'm going to fire the single rocket launchers, hitting on 5s because of and there. Hit on 5s, and Daka would also hit, explode on 5s, if I get my words out. So there's 1 hit, and Daka, because they've given more. Ooh, 2 hits. Given more Daka, so strength 8, toughness 4, 2s to wound. Oh no! No command points, I'm going to have to take that. I thought it might just be a sneaky kill there. 5 up invulnerable save, which fails, and D3 damage for 2. Oh, that could have been a dead sorcerer. Okay, and that's it for the Orc shooting phase. Going into combat, there's no charges, so the rubrics will attack the Bonebreaker first. I did those attacks off camera, nothing happening. No damage caused. So this is a Bonebreaker on the rubrics, hitting on 2s. They all hit. Strength 9, toughness 4. Wounding on 3. Yeah, 3s. No, 2s. 2s. That's cocked. So they 5 wounds, minus 2 saves, 5 up. Wow! 1 fails, and one more rubric is slain. That's the end of the Orc turn 4. So into 1,000 Suns last turn. Okay, here we are at the end of the 1,000 Suns movement phase at the at turn 5. At the end of the command phase, they scored 10 more primary victory points, and then the Zangor Shaman decided to move away from the rocket shooting down the valley. It's 5 victory points for killing a character, a psychic character or psychic unit, for the Orks, so it doesn't make sense for them to stick around, and that includes this sorcerer here deciding to move back towards the Thousand Suns lines, while the rest of the patrol slows down the Orks. The rubrics have remained locked in combat, and the Zangors have moved over that difficult ground. I'm gonna sort of treat them that they're no longer in that difficult ground, in the way that they just about managed to get over there. So there's very little shooting to be done. There's a warp bolt pistol in here, hitting on 3s, winning on 6s. Nope. Yeah, I think that might well be it. Yes, that's the end of the... Oh, I forgot the psychic phase, of course. Okay, well, that was the shooting phase. It's slightly out of order. I don't mind that there's been a bit of a mistake in order. When I used to play years and years ago, the psychic phase was at the very end of the turn. Right, so let's do glamour from the aspiring sorcerer onto his own unit. That succeeds, so at least at -1. The sorcerer might as well smite the bone break. It won't do anything, but other than make her feel a bit better. Yeah, that succeeds on a 5. D3 mortal wounds for 1 again. Shrugs on a 6. No, so it's taken 3 wounds. It's taken quite a lot of smites and only 3 wounds, I think. Nothing really in line of sight other than within 24. Yeah, he shall increase the invulnerable save of the Zangors, and that succeeds on that 8. And that's the end of the psychic phase. I've already now done the shooting, and let's do the only charge, which is the Zangors into the truck. Let's see if they get in. Ooh, 10. I think that probably makes it. Yes, they made it. And they have consolidated 3 inches in. Right, I'll just calculate how many attacks. Some of the rear ranks won't be able to attack, but I'll just add them up. Okay, 12 Zangors, including the twist bray, can attack, them being half an inch within half an inch. So that is 25 attacks, and I'm going to spend a command point on Veterans of the Long War to add 1 to their wounds. They're not really veterans in terms of they're not Astartes, but perhaps these are some of the remnants of the Prospero Spire Guard. Who knows? But they've apparently been around for a long time and know what they're doing. So I'm just going to roll that off camera. Okay, that's only scored 14 hits, but they are strength 4, toughness 6. So normally winning on 5s, but veterans it will be 4s. And that's on. I should really learn to film the dice rolls. I'm going to do it on camera. So I don't think it's going to be enough to destroy the truck. No, that's 7 wounds. -1 for the Zangor blades. So that's a 5-up save. And 3 of them saves. So that's 4 wounds, 4 shrugs. 1 shrugs, only 3 damage caused in the end. But they are troops, objective secure, troop choice, so they have effectively, well, it's easily outnumber that Orc unit now, so that the Orcs have lost that objective, which mean they won't get 10 victory points at the end of their at the beginning of their command phase. I'll just do the attacks back off camera. And the Wrecking Ball managed to clonk one of the Zangors on their head, knocking him clean out. So yeah, that's the end of the Thousand Suns turn 5. Okay, here we are at the end of turn 5 for the Orcs. They gained a command point in their command phase. They only scored 5 primary victory points because they were only on that objective before the Meganobs shuffled forward a bit. So I wonder if that's going to be significant. There's not much the Meganauts can do, but they could just about get a 12. Well, it's a 10-inch charge to the rubrics, but over those, that's a difficult ground. It'd be 12. I'll just. Oh, I should say that the Orc truck has decided to go get some more boys over there. If we leg it, we can fight again another day. Because there's no way that the Orc truck would have killed more than one or two Zangors, and if they stayed in combat, there's perhaps a small chance, but still a chance that the truck could have been destroyed. So yeah, he's decided to go get some more boys. I'll just do the big shooters into the rubrics off camera because they probably won't do anything, and then go on to the charge phase. Yeah, I was right. Managed to get one wound, but saved easily. So the Meganobs needs a double 6. Always 1/6. I shall re-roll that with here we go. Oh, no, they don't make it in. Okay, combat. Okay, the Aspiring Sorcerer managed to inflict 2 wounds on the Bonebreaker, but it's still in its top bracket. This is the Bonebreaker's attacks. It's hitting on 3s because of Glamour Siege. So actually that saved them twice. Wounding on 2s. And then again 5 up. This Bonebreaker should have killed this squad ages ago. Somehow it survived, but that's no save, so that's the entire squad wiped. And in fact, that will give them some secondary objectives with a Abhor the Witch. Okay, and that's the end of the game. I shall just do a quick tally of the victory points to see who has won, but it's a pretty bloody stalemate by the looks of it. Although, yeah, I don't think the Thousand Sons have really had an answer for the Bonebreaker. And probably will need to retreat in the face of that mechanical clanking monstrosity. But broadly speaking, they held the line. The Orcs have been chased back down the valley by the Zangors, braying and hooting. But yeah, a couple of Meganobs just bumbling around. So yeah, it was an interesting game. I made a few deployment mistakes because I didn't read the mission very well. First rule of Warhammer 40k: read what the mission, so you know what you're supposed to be doing. But yeah, I'm just going to tally up the points and get back to you as to the winner. Okay, so the Orcs managed to get 35 primary victory points, having lost their hold on that objective in the last turn. They managed to get 3 for assassinate, taking out one of the Thousand Sons characters, and 8 points for Abhor the Witch, 5 for taking out that sorcerer, and 3 for the rubric squad, making their total of 46 points. The Thousand Sons got 40 victory points in their primary objectives, and they got 6 for slay the warlord and 3 for thin their ranks, making a total of 49. So 49-46. It's a victory to the Thousand Sons. I think that seems about right. It's not an overwhelming victory. The Thousand Sons have not been able to stamp out the Orc infestation at the point of them landing on the planet. They will have to engage the Orcs in a much larger combat and put far more resources into dealing with the Orc war than they would have otherwise done had this been a major victory. But they have stymied the Orc advance. They have blunted the war in this early combat, and we'll wait to see what happens going forward. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. It's certainly not one of those professional battle reports that you see on the internet. No graphics. I appreciate that. I'll try and work on that in the future, and I'll try and remember to record some of the dice rolls as well. Try and get it on the screen as I roll. But there's so many to think about, and I'm old, and it confuses me. As it turns out, the charge by the Zangors kept them in the game. Because if the Orks had another 5 points, they would have been 51 to 49 and would have actually won that. So that last charge there, making all the difference. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me any comments. If I know it's rubbish and very badly filmed and badly narrated, so if you agree with me on that point, you don't have to tell me about it in the comments. But I shall try building up my Ork army, get a few more units, and there's a bit more choice to select from. But also, I don't use trucks or even mega knobs just to hold objectives, which is not really what they're supposed to be doing. Or if you're going to have a truck holding some objectives, you'll tend to put 12 shooter boys in it to give it a bit of a gun platform. But yeah, I'll sign off now before I waffle on for too much more, but I hope you liked it. And if I upload some more battle reports, then I shall put them in on this channel, and you know where to get them. Thanks so much. Bye.